We're sitting here with John Kiriakou. Kiriakou. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for the invitation. I love the show.
I've seen so many clips of you recalling stories from your time in the CIA.
Yeah.
Is having a good memory a requirement for the job?
Oh, yeah.
Is it really?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Is it a requirement?
It's actively encouraged. I had a station chief one time who gave me the biggest compliment.
You had a what one time?
A station chief.
Okay.
So I was doing an operation in the Middle East, but I was doing it from headquarters. The station chief called me. We were friends from our training days. And he said, listen, we recruited a double agent out here. He's insisting on meeting with the chief, but it's just too dangerous for me to meet with him because he doesn't know that we know he's working for the bad guys.
Got it.
Can you come out here every month and meet with him and pretend to be me? And I said, sure. So I did. To make a long story short, I would do the meeting and then go straight to the airport and fly back to Washington. There was a midnight flight. And I would write the reporting cable from headquarters instead of writing it from the station and then sending it to headquarters. I'd write it from headquarters and send it to the station. And the great compliment he gave me was, he said, your memory is so good. You remember so many details that when I read the cables, I feel like I'm in the room watching it go down. And I said, that is exactly what I'm going for. Yeah, I've always been proud of being able to do that.
But it wasn't a requirement when you I guess, I don't know if you audition for the CIA, but how do you?
Yeah, you kind of do. Yeah.
What's that process like? Like, how do you get?
Extensive.
Is it?
It's changed from when I joined. When I joined, I was in graduate school at George Washington University, and I was taking a class called The Psychology of Leadership. And the class was about why foreign leaders make the decisions that they make. One of the examples that sticks in my mind is the Yalta conference at the end of World War II. Why was it in Yalta, of all places?
I'm not familiar with it. Bring it up. The Yalta conference, the World War II.
Yeah.
The Yalta conference was a World War II meeting of the heads of government of the United States, UK, and the Soviet Union to discuss the post-war reorganization of Germany and Europe. Okay.
Yeah. So Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin.
They all met in Yalta.
They all met in Yalta, which is really, really hard to get to. And you can't just, get in a plane and fly over the war. The war's still going on.
Right.
So Roosevelt took a train to Norfolk, Virginia, then took a boat to Malta, which took like a week, right? Back in those days.
Which is obviously a psyop because it rhymes with Yalta.
Right. And then he had to go to Cairo and then Iran and then from Iran to Yalta. He was sick. He died a month later.
Wow.
So the reason why it was in Yalta is because Stalin had a spy in the White House and the spy told him Roosevelt is sick. And so Stalin wanted him to be as weak as possible. When they arrived, or when the American side arrived, Roosevelt was exhausted and he wanted to go to sleep.
And
but Stalin insisted that the talks begin immediately.
Wow.
And so just to be able to go to bed, Roosevelt gave up Poland.
Look, I'll throw in Poland. Let's talk tomorrow.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, dude. Look, sometimes, bro, you show up and you're like, yeah, you just
can't do it.
Yeah. Or you just say, look, yes, take that. That's fine. I got, you know what I'm saying? I got to brush my teeth and lay down for a few minutes. It's crazy the things you will give up when you first get somewhere just to get to your room and unpack.
Amen.
To urinate. Oh.
So I'm in this class.
And just to be clear, so they made him go all that way just because they knew it would weaken him.
Yeah, there it is.
So they created a path that would just that would add to him because they had a spy in the White House.
Yeah.
President Franklin D. Roosevelt died of a massive cerebral hemorrhage on April 12th, 1945 at Warm Springs, Georgia, just 2 months after the Yalta Conference. While the grueling 7,000-mile trip to the Soviet Union combined with his severe underlying cardiovascular conditions took a significant toll on his already failing health. Wow.
You see what a well-placed spy can do for you?
That's strategy right there.
That is strategy. That's the big leagues right there.
That's the big leagues.
So I'm in this class, and the professor, Dr. Gerald Post, eminent psychiatrist, tells us to shadow our bosses for a week, just watch our bosses, spend each day with them, and then do a psychological profile on our bosses.
And this is when you're at George Washington University. You're a student.
Right.
Okay.
I was in grad school.
Got it.
There's Jerry. And what a great man he was. He died of COVID, the poor guy.
Oh.
So
he was murdered.
Right.
Carry on.
I'm working at the United Food and Commercial Workers Union at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for this guy who was a mean, like angry, old school union organizer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit afraid of him, to tell you the truth. Big, strong, mean guy. And halfway through the week, we got into an argument, and I called him a racist, which he was.
Yeah.
And he got so mad, he set a stance, and he put up his fist like this. And I put up my hands thinking, dang it, I went too far this time. And he goes, my penis is bigger than yours. And I said, what? And he goes, my penis is bigger than yours. I said, you know what? You're nuts. And I quit. And I walked out. So I went back and I banged out my paper. I said he was a sociopath with psychopathic and possibly violent tendencies. And I footnoted the whole thing. It wasn't just John venting on it.
But with a possibly decent wiener on him.
You're right, apparently.
You got to put that
Apparently. And so I get the paper back a week later. Dr. Post gave me an A. And then in the margin, he wrote, please see me after class. So I go up to him. I said, Dr. Post, you wanted to see me? He says, come to my office. This classroom was like on the 6th floor and the office was on the 4th. So I went down there. He closed the door and he says, look, I'm not really a professor here. I'm a CIA officer undercover as a professor here. I'm looking for people who would fit into the CIA's culture. I think you would fit in.
No way.
Would you like to join the CIA? And I said, oh, yes, I would. And so the rest, though, is up to you. It was kind of a long story, I'll skip it, but he made a couple of calls that got me deep into the process.
Got it. So Mr. Post was your professor.
Yes.
And you also had this job where you were where the guy was the racist guy.
Yeah, that was at a union.
Okay.
So I was using that union job to put myself through grad school.
Got it.
And then I quit and I walked out. I said, the guy's dangerous. And I guess the way I wrote the paper made him think that the analysis was concise. It was to the point, and I backed it up with the facts. So I go through these weird. He sent me across the river to Roslyn, Virginia, Arlington, Virginia. It's a little neighborhood right across the Potomac from Washington.
Hold 1 second.
Yeah.
So he was a CIA operative. This professor.
Yes.
Now, when someone's a CIA operative but also a professor, are they an actual professor that then gets hired?
That's a great question.
Like, which is first?
That's a great question. It's usually that they're a CIA operative first, and then they get hired as a professor. What he did is illegal today.
Got it.
So in 1993, Congress passed the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, the EEOC, which made this illegal. So now it's very not sexy. You just go to www.cia.gov and click apply.
Right. Different.
It's different.
It's a little easier.
Back then, it was, all white guys from Ivy League schools for the most part. And now it's different.
It was exciting.
It was exciting.
Oh, I bet it was one of the most exciting things.
I used to park my car out in the North 40 and then take 20 minutes to walk all the way around the compound so I could walk in the main door across the giant seal and see the Wall of Honor and the flags. And I felt like I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
I was so proud to be there.
Felt like you were part of something.
I really did.
I can imagine that you feel like you're part of something. Like, what did you feel like you were part of?
Well, I came from this very liberal household. And I remember my mom and dad getting into an argument one time. It was the Pennsylvania primary of 1976. And my dad voted for Frank Church, who had created the church committee that completely reorganized the CIA and stripped it of its power to carry out assassinations and things like that. And my mom voted for Birch Bayh, who was a senator from Indiana. And my dad said, Birch Bayh? Why'd you vote for him? And she said, he's so good looking. And my dad's like, what? Church is the guy doing all the work. And I remember being fascinated by this argument that they were having. So when Dr. Post approached me, I called a friend of mine that I was in class with who was married to a guy at the CIA. And I said, listen, I'm not a naif. I know the CIA's history. It's pretty ugly. do I want to be involved in an organization like this? I want to go into public service. I want to see the world. She said, let's have dinner. So the three of us get together for dinner. And he's like, the bad old days CIAs of the CIA are gone.
The bad old days, he said?
Yeah, the bad old days of the CIA are gone. He said, 75 with the Church Committee in the Senate, the Pike Committee in the House changed everything. No more assassinations, no more overthrowing governments, which was true for a little while. A little while. Because 4 years later, Ronald Reagan becomes president. And next thing you know, we're, doing Iran-Contra and we're bombing different countries and everything just went back to the way it was. But there was like this golden period. My friends are going to yell at me for saying that. There was this period where the CIA was a really awesome place to work. The first 7.5 years that I was there, I was an analyst. In the office that Dr. Post had founded, the political psychology division. And I really felt like I was a part of something big, I was only on the job 8 months. And it was just as I started to feel like I really knew what I was doing. I was the leadership analyst, the psychological analyst on Iraq. And the reason I was given Iraq was because, not my words, these were the words of my leadership, nothing ever happens there. It's the same cabinet since the 1968 revolution. Nothing ever happens. So learn the writing style, learn the tradecraft, and you can move on to something interesting like Romania, they told me. I said, great. So
my friend just played ball in Romania, actually.
It's a great place, Romania.
Is it?
I love it. Oh, yeah, it's great.
I got to get over there. I don't know. My buddy Patrick McCaffrey, he just finished playing ball over there. Anyway, carry on.
I love it. So just as I get to the point where I really feel like I know what I'm doing, Iraq invades Kuwait. August the 2nd, 1990. I walk into the office early, like before 7, and my boss says,
shit's popping. Now you got to show up.
I couldn't wait to get into the office that day. My boss says, don't take your jacket off. We're going to go to the White House. I'd never been in the White House before. And so we go to the White House. There's this Marine standing there. He walks us into the West Wing, and we go into the anteroom of the Oval Office, and then the secretary takes us in, and here's the president, the vice president, the national security advisor, and the CIA director. And so you just kind of stand there, you wait to be told what to do. There are two nice chairs like this. The president's in that one, the vice president's in this one. There's a couch here. My boss and I sat on that. There are two like more uncomfortable chairs over here for the CIA director and the national security advisor. And we sit down, and the president goes, well, now what do we do? And then everybody turns and looks at me, and I'm looking at them. And then it took me a second, and I'm like, oh, well, as you know, Mr. President, Iraqi troops crossed the border at 4:00 this morning, and the Kuwaiti ruling family fled to Saudi Arabia, blah, 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 blah. But I remember thinking, my friends would never believe in a million years what I was doing right now.
Wow.
They would never believe it. And I was 25 years old.
And it happened overnight that you were kind of suddenly having an influence. Like you right there, they're looking to me for information.
That actually was kind of a recurring theme in my career. I was just very, very lucky.
Got it.
A lot of times.